All right, man, peace. You know, brothers, there are some people that you'll encounter in your life that you'll develop a rapport with, a relationship with, that you want to see that relationship play itself out to its fruition, and you want to maintain a long-standing rapport with that person. Then there are other relationships that you'll establish where you don't care if it falls apart. And then there are certain dynamics that are created when you establish a rapport with a person where there's a certain something that you want from that person. And if things collapse, it is what it is. You feel like you got what you wanted or that you needed. And overall, that person, that dynamic, that relationship is expendable. Why am I saying all this? Because that brings us to the Toronto Raptors. There's a particular NBA executive who's trying to propagate the notion that even if Kawhi Leonard were to leave the Toronto Raptors, it was still a great trade because they feel like Kawhi Leonard has exponentially improved the Toronto Raptors' chances, their opportunity of winning an NBA championship, and also optimizing their profile. Now, do I agree with that? Initially, I did at the start of the season. But they're playing so well right now that I believe that if the Toronto Raptors happen to be this year's version of the Houston Rockets and win 65 games and go to the NBA Finals and say lose in 7 games to the Warriors or even win, if Kawhi Leonard were to leave, that might cripple their franchise. So anyway, they're going to talk about it, and I'm going to chime in.
We told you about a story that Tim Bontemps wrote on Kawhi Leonard before the break. Now here's the quote again in that story. One anonymous executive saying, quote, "It's a great trade for Toronto, even if Leonard leaves. I just never saw them going any further than they had with DeMar."
I can't quite agree with that right now. As of right now, I believe Toronto is something like 19-4 or 20-4. Kawhi Leonard is playing MVP level basketball. If they continue on this arc, they have to do everything in their power to make sure that he stays.
What do you think of that?
I know who that executive is, and he doesn't dress that well.
I like Kawhi in Toronto. Now, let's go back to Paul George. When he went to OK.
The NBA has to love Kawhi in Toronto. Once again, the Western Conference is so star heavy that the fact that you have a Kawhi Leonard in Toronto, you have a Jimmy Butler move back over to the Philadelphia 76ers, you have Victor Oladipo who's on an upward arc, Kyrie Irving in Boston. You're hoping that maybe John Wall can reclaim some level of star status in the NBA. You have to start to build up your star power in the Eastern Conference as well. So if you're the NBA, you definitely want Kawhi Leonard to stay in Toronto.
OKC, didn't everyone say that, his final destination is really LA, right? But he ended up getting a bromance with Russell Westbrook, and he stayed there. Like, I can see the potential there.
But what if he leaves? What if he does leave?
If he does leave, I mean, it does stink, but I don't see that possibility because I feel like Toronto embodies the mindset of Kawhi Leonard.
I agree. And this young lady here, she does a very good job as an analyst on this show. She may want to consider retiring from the WNBA and remaining as an analyst on this show because she gains far more visibility as an analyst on this TV show and other shows that she guest appears on than she ever will as a WNBA player.
Toronto is kind of an outsider city. It's in Canada, okay? He just signed a New Balance deal.
We love Canada. We love you, Canada.
We love you, but I mean, at the end of the day, it's an outsider city outside of the U.S. He just signed a New Balance deal. That's an outside type of basketball market. It fits the Kawhi narrative.
I agree.
So even if he does leave, yeah, that's tough. I feel like that's losing a little bit of your trade value, but I see Kawhi staying.
There's only a couple of teams in the league that could have made this trade.
Yes.
That's one of the reasons why it was tough for the Spurs. They didn't have a wide market. The Raptors are one of them because, number one, they have excellent young players. So even if Kawhi does leave, they can pivot very quickly. It wouldn't be a disaster for them. It would not be good.
Mm-hmm.
Their GM, Masai Ujiri, does a phenomenal job in the draft.
Mm-hmm.
Would not be a disaster. The other thing is they've gone with really good teams the last few years into the playoffs and run into the ground or run into the LeBron wall.
Let me say this also very quickly. They're going to be a big problem for whoever they face. I still think that there's potential series with the Boston Celtics is going to be touch and go because both teams are pretty much a reflection of one another. I think that series is going to come down to whoever plays better, Kyrie or Kawhi Leonard. Now, in my view, Kawhi Leonard is the better overall player. But Kyrie Irving can rise to the occasion like very few players in the NBA. Kyrie is a top 10 player in the league in my estimation. But when it comes to the big moment and the spotlight, without a doubt, he's a top 3 player, maybe even a top 2 player in the league. And when they finally throw down in that 7-game series, most likely in the Eastern Conference Finals, I expect it to go 7. And whoever is better between Kawhi and Kyrie is going to determine the winner of that matchup. But just overall, I expect Toronto to give any team that they face, whether it be Golden State or Boston, everything that they can handle, because they have a bunch of 6'7" guys with long arms who defend and also can play on the offensive end as well.
And so they needed to change something. It was the perfect series of events that made this fertile for this Kawhi trade to happen. The other thing is, they were going to trade DeMar DeRozan anyway. Maybe not next summer, but I think they were looking to move on from him anyway. And
Absolutely, because the man basically came out and admitted that he had psychological issues and, mental disorders. And you just can't do that. I mean, I know that everybody wants to be transparent today, but you're not going to tell me that you're going to be the alpha on a professional sports basketball team and think that you can make commercials detailing your trappings and your failings mentally and think that GMs and coaches are going to say, you know what, this is the guy that I want to captain my squad into battle. Because when we hit adversity, I know that he's going to be able to transcend it. No, he's not. He's going to collapse. He's already admitted it. These are just facts. And I'm sure that many people will assert or claim that I'm being insensitive. I'm just dealing with reality. What Kevin Love and DeMar DeRozan have already established is that I'm not mentally fit or capable of being the captain of a team in the NBA. I'm just not. And that's okay.
And they would not have been able to.
And they got great value back.
And all of that is true, and I endorse Masai giving this a shot, and I think you got to go for it, that kind of thing. This opens up the larger discussion of what is success in the NBA, because this has been a very successful team for now.
The success that you have in the NBA, or what's deemed to be success, is directly related to or correlated with the age of your roster and what you estimate the overall benchmarks to be for that particular season.
A few years, and the idea that if Kawhi doesn't work, they're going to have to do a full rebuild anyway.
No, absolutely. The rebuild's already been done.
Right. I'm not into that.
Big time on the Raptors.
There we go.
I agree. I'm big time in on the Raptors as well. They really impressed me. I thought that they were going to be good coming into this season, but they have really impressed me with how they play. So we'll see what happens with Kawhi Leonard. Peace.